Alright guys, so we're going to be working on a 2015 BMW X5. This has misfires, it's running kind of rough. Customer had about $2,000 worth of work done to it. The dealer had replaced the charge air cooler. I'm not sure if it needed to get replaced, but the vehicle was still left with a misfire. And they told the customer they're going to have to disassemble the engine because there's scoring on the cylinder wall. Now the customer just wanted to get a second opinion on it, so this is why I'm here doing this. So first things first, we are going to start off with our scan data. And we have the Autel Maxi Elite, and I'm looking for some PIDs that indicate our misfires. And right here we have cylinder 1 rough running value all the way down to cylinder number 8. Now we can take a note here. We have cylinder number 5 and cylinder number 2 with a positive value. 2 has about 5, cylinder 5 has about 9. And I will tell you that the number 2 misfire went away when I started fooling around with the ignition coils. One thing I like to do is do a power balance test and disconnect the ignition coil and make sure that the misfire follows correctly to the misfire monitor. This will tell me if our monitor is correct. So we are left with a number 5 misfire, and the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our primary ignition voltage. Alright, so we have the waveform for our number 5 primary ignition voltage, which is going to be our blue trace. The red trace is going to be a known good cylinder, but we're going to start off with a known good cylinder. Okay, so this is pretty textbook here. One thing I want to take note is the spark line. It looks like these squiggly lines right here indicate we do have turbulence. Now we are at idle right now. Let's take a look through the waveform, and that looks okay. We still have our squiggly lines indicating turbulence, which is a good thing. Okay, it's still there. Turbulence is still there. Pretty good. Now we're going to look at our number 5, which is our cylinder with the misfire. Right away, take a look at our spark line. Looks kind of flat. Let's take a look at the waveform now. We're going to advance. We still have that flat spark line. We don't see any indication that we have turbulence in our number 5 cylinder. So what this is telling me, this is giving me direction. Now we can chase a compression related issue. So my next step is to perform a relative compression test. We're going to do this by looking at the starter current. Okay, so we have our starter current waveform of our relative compression on the screen, which is going to be our blue trace. What we're looking for is nice, even compression humps. Every time the piston goes to top dead center, there is going to be more current that is drawn from the starter. And we can see right away we're missing a blue hump here. So we're going to find out what cylinder this is by looking at our ignition sync to our number 1 cylinder, which is our red trace. And what I usually like to do is look at my intake poles when I'm doing this test. But sometimes you cannot get to a vacuum line on the intake, at least easy or fast enough. So this time I decided to put a pressure sensor inside of the crankcase, which is going to be our green trace. Now let's start off with our compression humps. Well, first we're going to put up our overlay. Okay, so we have up our overlay. This is not the firing order. However, we're only concerned with the second cylinder in this firing order, which is going to be number 5, as you can see. So we're synced to the number 1. Number 1 is on its power here. And as we come up here, we should have a hump here, but it's missing, and this goes to cylinder number 5. So number 5 has no compression. And take a quick look at our crankcase pressure. We should see some very even pulses down here, but all we're seeing is one comes down, comes up again halfway, and it starts to come up again. So there is definitely a problem with this crankcase pressure. We should see some even humps, and if we do suspect a problem in the crankcase, what this is telling us is most likely when the number 5 piston goes to top dead center to compress the air, that air is escaping, possibly going past the rings, possibly there's a hole in the piston, or possibly there is some scoring on the cylinder wall. So let's go in cylinder and verify this. Okay, so this is the in-cylinder pressure waveform for cylinder number 5. We can see our peak compression is only 3.2 psi, and I will say this is during cranking. So as this piston goes up here, which is going to be a compression stroke at top dead center, we are building a lot of pressure inside this crankcase. And as the cylinder goes down on the exhaust stroke, pressure inside the crankcase is decreasing at this point, and it just follows the crankcase pressure is basically following the in-cylinder pressure, which tells me, like I said before, there's either a hole in the piston, bad piston rings, or the cylinder walls are bad. Next step is we are going to take a borescope and we are going to go inside cylinder number 5 and just take a look around. Now with the borescope I have an adapter that will allow us to look at the cylinder walls, which is going to be at a 90-degree angle. And we're going to take a look at all 4 sides of this cylinder wall. Okay, so I got the pictures for the cylinder wall. Take a look at the first one. We're just going to do 4 turns. Now these, I circled it right here in red. You can see there are some deep scratches on the cylinder wall. Now this is going vertical from top to bottom. Let's take a look at our next one. 90-degree turn. Once again, we have some heavy scratches and scoring here. These are also vertical. Turn it about another 90 degrees. Once again, we have some vertical scratches here, pretty deep. Start to see some horizontals kind of getting in there a little bit. And we're going to take our last 90-degree turn here. And now we have some horizontal scratches and some scoring on the cylinder wall. So the dealership was actually right. And so this engine is going to have to be either replaced, repaired. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do that. They're going to have to tear it down first. But the customer at least knows what has to be done, and we are 100% sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.